Hello there mates, Mishi Gamer here, and thank you for checking into this vlog episode. So I know I said quite some time ago that I would talk about like all the things I've been doing on a really long hiatus that I went on, and most of that was just school stuff. So that was when I was in school, but that's getting before the reveal of the thing. One of the reveals of the things, I should say. But I just had so much going on with school, I really didn't have time to devote into my channel. And I do get a bit like, with the channel sometimes, because it does feel like sometimes that it's really not going anywhere, which is okay to do when I don't have like 50 million things breathing down my neck. But like when I do, it gets like kind of put on the back burner a little bit. So I'm trying to get better about that and not just like quitting on this whenever things get really hectic or just too busy. But that was my junior year, I think that happened. No, or was it my senior? No, I think it was like my fall semester, senior year. I don't remember. Something like that. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I joined a research team where I research black holes, which makes me sound pretty fancy. But that particular research, we received satellite data from Integral, which is the International Gamma Ray Astrophysics Laboratory, I think. It's been a minute since I had to quote what the acronym is, but I had that going on. And I was a member of it at first, but then I got promoted to being a leader because the guy who was the leader graduated. And so then I became in charge of presenting the data of just like, and I was in this group by myself, so it was all on me. I had to present the data at 2 different conferences by myself. The first conference, I did 3 conferences in total, I did with the previous leader, but we went to we went to Kennesaw in spring. My first one was in Knoxville, which I got a spiffy little thing for my keychain, and I don't think I brought my keys in here with me the one time. But yeah, I have it says, it just says Knoxville on there, and I got one from Kennesaw State too. It just has like a little KS on it's like a little belt clip that you put it on. That was really cool, especially the Kennesaw State one. The one in Knoxville was fine, but that one was like the American Physics Society was hosting it, and so everything was just about physics. This is cool. Like, I have a love-hate relationship with physics, but I do find a lot of the topics more interesting to learn and talk about after you've understood it versus when you're trying to understand it in class and you just have so many deadlines and stuff like that. And that, like I said, it was cool, but Kennesaw State, it was more encompassing. It was a lot broader. You had like every major you could think of. Biology was there, communications was there, art was there, drama, physics, of course. And just like every major you could think of, it was there. And you could go to talks for every major. You could go to a poster session, I did a poster session. And the only complaint I had was, 2 complaints. It was in Atlanta, so unfortunately you did have to deal with Atlanta traffic. And I was... I guess I should tell the whole story. So I kind of dropped the ball on that one a little bit. I didn't check that when the bus was leaving. So for the Knoxville trip, we left in the next. Oh God, I don't even know. I can't even make any excuses. Just the bus was supposed to leave that afternoon, and I thought, because the last time we went, we left the day of the trip, I think. No, we left the day before. I was just a dunce and I dropped the ball. But long story short, I ended up missing the bus because I didn't check the time and when it was supposed to be leaving. And then I went back home is what I did, and my poster was still in Milledgeville. And so one of my friends called me and he was like, "Yo, where are you?" I was like, "Oh, I'm at home." And he was like, "Bro, the bus is about to leave right now." Then I was like, holy shit. And I couldn't do anything. I'll just have to drive there. So I drove to Milledgeville to pick up my poster. Then I went from Milledgeville and I drove to Atlanta to where everyone was, and so I had to deal with Atlanta's traffic, only going to and leaving because the rest of the time I took the bus. But like when I was there, the traffic was it wasn't like the best type of traffic, but for Atlanta, it was pretty good traffic. So I'm thinking, oh well, when I leave, it's gonna be pretty early, so I should still be good. Mm-mm. Atlanta had to do construction when I was leaving. Atlanta had like 5 different wrecks when I was leaving, so the traffic was terrible until I got outside of Atlanta, and it was just the worst. But the conference, the other complaint that I had was a lot of the talks were scheduled at the same time, and I know this was a big conference, so it wasn't like you could go to every single talk for every topic. That would have been literally impossible for them to schedule it that way, but there was like one talk I would find, I'd be like, oh, this is really interesting, I'd like to go to that. And then immediately I would go down and be like, oh, this is interesting, I'd also like to look at that. And they were at the same time, so you had to pick and choose which one that you wanted to go to the most. The topic that I presented was pretty cool. Everybody loves space, so you have a topic about that, you're pretty much guaranteed to get people to come up and ask you what you're doing for your research. But I had a lot of people come by, they seemed really interested in what I was doing, even if I did have some people come by and they're like, you know what, I don't get what you're doing, but it sounds really cool, I can tell that you're interested, and I love that you took the time to share that with me. And so I do, like, that was nice. Sometimes it does suck when you try to like tell somebody what you're researching on and they just don't get it, and I try to like explain it the best way I can, because I feel like if you're really good at something, you should be able to get people to understand what you do, no matter if they're part of that field or not. And so whenever I can't, I just feel like I'm not conveying this the best way to this particular audience. And it always sucks a little bit. And after that, I kind of jumped around a bit. So before that, I got like maybe 3 months, because this was in April. So I got into a car accident in January. Or no, yeah, basically the first week of January. And it was my Scion TC that I had the entire time that I was at GCSU. Except for spring semester, of course. It was that car is a low profile car, I should mention, and so it goes through its tires pretty quickly, and I was not always on top of the ball with not repairing them, but replacing them. And this particular morning, it had just started raining. Maybe it had been raining for like 2 minutes or so. And I had just started driving, and I came to go around this curve, and then the car hydroplaned, and then it rolled into a ditch, and all manners of such. And so I ended up crawling out of the car, because it was upside down when it finished rolling. I crawled out of the car. I could feel that I was, like, I knew that I was hurt. I couldn't tell how badly I was hurt. But I could feel, like, I had some cuts on my face. I couldn't tell how bad they were, because you have that adrenaline going, and everything with adrenaline just feels like 10 times less than what it probably is. And so like once the adrenaline started to go out, I could feel like my ear was hurting really bad. My face was like it kind of still stung a little, but not as bad as like my ear. And so the firemen were the first people that got there, which is not surprising, because where I live, I'm actually closer to a fire department than I am to a police department. And there were some people that dropped by, and they make sure that I was okay and everything. And they were the ones that called the police and they called 911. And then they sent the fire department, the police, and eventually the ambulance. That was the last thing that got there. But they stayed until the entire most of the time, until the police officer told them that they could leave. And what was I saying before that? The fire department's closest thing to my house. So, anyway, when they got there, they just they sat me, and it's still raining, by the way, and I don't have my phone because it fell into a puddle. I was underneath my the top of the Scion is completely glass. Like all of it is made out of glass. So when the car rolled over, the glass on top of the Scion broke. And because it had just started raining, there was like this puddle, because it was in a ditch. The puddle had formed at the bottom of it, and my phone fell into the puddle. Lucky me. And so I didn't have my phone. And the fire department came, and they just sat me down in front of the fire truck. I sat on the bumper, and they like just trying to wipe my face a little because it was bleeding all on the left side, because that was where the driveway window was, and the driver's window busted, and all the window came on the all of the window shards came on the inside and just scratched my face. And so you had that bit of fun, and they gave me a blanket, at which point I was shivering. I hadn't really noticed I was shivering, but I'm not surprised because it was raining. It was the morning time, so it was a little chilly, and it was just getting into spring, so it wasn't like sweltering hot like it is now, and I have to run the fan, which I'm pretty sure sounds amazing in this recording right now. And I was shivering, and they gave me a blanket, and the guy that gave it to me was like, "Oh, I guess you're just cold," because I stopped shivering after he gave me the blanket. And I think he thought I was shivering because I was like scared, but not to say that I wasn't scared. I was at first, like getting more so like during the accident, like when it was happening, that's when I was scared. And after it was done, it was more so like, is there anything wrong with me? Am I hurt? Do I what physical part of me should I be worried about right now? So it wasn't so much that I was scared, probably just very numb, very out of it. And then the police guy came. They were all asking me questions like, what was my name? What happened? Oh, was I okay? Was the first thing they always asked. And they asked my name, what happened, and stuff like that. And then the two of the fire department guys asked. One of the one police guy that showed up, he asked. And there might have been two. I don't remember. I just remember the one specifically because he talked to me. And then the ambulance came, and the guy in the back of the ambulance asked me the same question. And he was talking about how he always sees accidents pretty much when it rains. And then he asked what hospital I wanted to go to. And I said I wanted to go to the Coliseum, which is closer to my house. And he was like, okay, I'm going to give you some saline. You might taste it in your mouth. And I was like, what? Taste it in my mouth? And he was like, yeah, but it'll go away after that. And because he was putting it in my arm, so I was like, why would I taste it in my mouth if you're putting like a needle in my vein? But he knows the stuff, because like not even a second after he did it, I could taste it. And I was like, this is disgusting. But I went to the hospital, and I spent 5 hours there. Oh my God, it was the worst of times. And everybody there was very nice. I had a guy from New Jersey talk to me while I was there that I really appreciated. Because at this point, there's blood all on the left side of my face. There's blood, and like they had, when I got there was a nurse, so she had kind of cleaned through and was cleaning the glass off of my face. But like as soon as you would clean it, like some of it off, it would get replaced by like more blood. So there was that fun to deal with, and you could see it, like you could see like something happened to this lady. But the guy that talked to me, he didn't even like he did ask like what happened, and I said it was a car accident. He was like, oh, that sucks, but they're gonna take good care of you. He came there a lot because his thing was he liked to work out, but he had like a home gym, and I guess he like always hurt himself on his home gym, so he came there a lot. And that particular day, he had dropped a weight on his leg, and so he would just come in and make sure that he was okay. And he was talking about a lot of different things. He was kind of random, to be honest, but it was just nice to have someone to talk to. And then I asked him if he was from New Jersey, and he was like, oh yeah, are you from there? And then I was like, no. And he was like, oh, you're just asking me that because I talk funny. And I wish that I could imitate a New Jersey accent just to encapsulate how it sounded to hear it, because it was funny, and I laughed. And I was like, yeah, that's the reason why. And he was like, oh, that's okay, I get it. It was probably my favorite part of talking to him. And then we went back to like the back rooms together, to wait for the nurse to look over us. And then he actually got released a lot earlier than I did. And he was like, when he left, he was like, they'll take great care of you. And then he went on his way, and I went with the nurse, and she like checked me out, and she re-cleaned my face that just refused to not bleed. And there's just, well, I should say there was this one particular spot on my face that kept bleeding, and it was like it had cut deeper than the rest of the spots. And if I didn't have my headphones on right now, I could even show you the scar for it. It was very noticeable. But that was the only spot that was like very much just not wanting to stop bleeding. But after about 3 hours there, I was ready to go. And I was like, you guys are very nice people. You're doing a phenomenal job. I think that I'm okay. I'm okay, so can I go? And they're like, wait, because at that point I had an MRI. Like, I just finished taking an MRI, and they were like, we want to do like one more scan of your lungs. And then I was like, why? And then the lady was like, well, I just run the tech. Let me go get the doctor, and she'll explain it to you. And apparently they had, when they did an MRI, because they were checking my brain because I had hit my head, my Scion, I don't know if it had, you know how like you have some cars, they have like the side airbags. I don't know if it didn't have it, but it didn't deploy, or it did or it didn't. It just didn't deploy. And so I hit my head against the side of the car, like where the door is. And they were just shaking my head, make sure that I didn't have a concussion or any like serious brain damage like that. And then, but when they're doing the MRI for my brain, they saw like this like dark spot on my lungs, and so they're like, they wanted to like do a picture of my lungs instead. So they did that because they saw like they saw the dark spot, and they just wanted to make sure that it wasn't like internal bleeding in the lungs, which can be very bad. When blood's not where it's supposed to be, it's always very bad. But they were like, it was just a bruise, and I just needed to take it easy for a couple of days, which I heard so much after the accident. Just need to take it easy. Just gotta take it easy. But nobody ever tells you what take it easy means. And like, at this point, I've been doing college work, and just the channel, everything is like, I'm always doing something. So to me, take it easy just means do a little bit less than what you usually do, which is not what people meant. So that was, I mean, I didn't get like, I didn't exacerbate. I didn't exacerbate. I think that, I feel like I'm saying it wrong, but I didn't make my injuries any worse than what they already were. But everybody was just like, you're not taking it easy. And I'm just like, I don't know what you mean. But going back to the hospital, so that after that I stayed there for 2 more hours, and then they were like, well, we'll call a cab so you can get ready to leave. And I was like, sure, okay, I'll wait for a taxi. Waited for a taxi about 30 minutes, and I was like, no, I gotta go. I've been here too long. So I just walked to my grandma's house, and she's only about 10 minutes from the Coliseum, so it was probably 10 minutes, because I was walking. I didn't want to run because I didn't know like what all you should do with a bruised lung, but running seemed like a bad idea. So I just did a walk. Sometimes I would, go into a little jog if I was crossing the street because I didn't want to get ran over. But that was about it. And then like I get to my grandma's house. So at this point, do keep in mind I don't have a cell phone. So I've called absolutely no one. Everybody's like, oh, my grandma, she didn't know that I was like missing. So she was like, when she saw me, she was like, hey, like her usual greeting. And then she saw like the patches on my face, and she was like, what have you done to yourself now? Which I would like to defend myself and say that I do not get into much trouble like that. So I'm not quite sure why she phrased it that way. But I explained to her what happened. She called my mom, and she was like talking to my mom, and I know my mom is like hysterical because she's always been a very protective parent, and just like I know like not knowing where I was for 5 hours was pretty hard on her. And when my grandma was talking to her, she was just like telling her like flatline blatantly like what happened, and my grandpa was like, you're gonna scare her, you're gonna scare her, you need to you don't scare her. And so like that there was that conversation, and my mom came, and I could tell like she was upset. My dad, who at the time I didn't really talk to very much, I could tell that he was like upset because he gave me a hug, and let me tell you how much that we usually hug each other, which is not very often. Like I can probably count on my fingers before that incident how many times that we'd hug each other. Well, probably not. I don't know. I probably could, but that's digressing from the point. That was that story. I do have a new car now. It's a Toyota Camry, which I'm sure you all are like, that's such a common car to get. But Toyota Camry, that was the first car that I had. So it was a 1995, the one that I had. That was my first car. And this one is a 2011, and my sign was a 2006, so I've only been going up in years with every car that I've gotten. Hopefully, my next car that I get will be either an electric car or a hybrid car, and if it's an electric car, I'm aiming for it to be a Tesla, and if it's a hybrid car, I'm aiming for it to be a Prius. And hopefully, when I do buy it, it would be because I wanted it and not because I had an accident and I needed to replace my car, so we don't need to do that one again. But that was that happened. And the other only big thing, I graduated. After that story, I graduated. I am now officially a physicist. I have a bachelor's of science. Whenever the longer I talk, I've noticed the worse my speech gets. It's like my brain is like, you've been talking for too long, so I'm just gonna take a break and I'm done. And whenever you're done, just let me know so that I can actually do something that's beneficial to me. But I graduated with my bachelor's of science in physics, so I am a physicist. If my degree was anywhere nearby, I would be waving it in front of the camera right now. But it's also in a very flashy frame, so I'm pretty sure if I did try to show you, the light would just glint off of it and you really wouldn't be able to see it. But it deserves to be in that flashy frame. That physics degree is probably the hardest thing that I have ever done. Physics as a major, when I first got into physics, one of the things that the professor said was, if you don't have time to do anything, go out with your friends and stuff like that, then that should only be expected because you chose to take the hardest major that you could have taken as an undergraduate, and that just comes as part of the deal. And then I was like, what have I gotten myself into? But it's over now. I did it. Eventually I do want to go to grad school, but I have these student loan guys I need to pay back, and they're kind of hunting me down, so I just can't go to grad school and pay them at the same time and pay grad school. If I had a way to ensure that I'd be funded for my college, higher college, then I would do it, but I don't, and I don't want to be applying and then be like, hey, you gonna pay me? And they're gonna be like, and I just wasted so much money applying to it, because applications, as far as I can tell, are not free, unfortunately. But that's that. Eventually I'll get back to the school grind when I have the financial flexibility to do so. Look at those adult words. But as for right now, I'm looking for a physics job to get my physics on. But other than that, the only other things that I've had 2 relationships that I've been in. Both of them fell through. I don't know, like a bridge. Do bridges fall through? Like a commitment, the time commitment that the other person didn't show up at, it just fell through. And for these types of things, it's very easy to get into the mindset where you want to say, well, it wasn't my fault, or maybe it was my fault, or it was more their fault. But I've learned from these relationships that really the only thing that you should consider from a failed relationship is what did it teach you, so you can be more prepared for the next relationship. And that's the mindset I've tried to have about it. And so with the first relationship that failed, I realized personally that there are just certain types of people that I just don't get along with. We do great as friends, I just don't get along with them very well as partners. And I learned that I get very annoyed with people when like I'm saying something and then they willfully take what I say, scramble it, and then into the worst possible meaning that it could be interpreted to have, and then give it back to me. So like my biggest pet peeve is like people not listening to me and being ignored. But I think that is probably a bigger one than even that, because it's like you're listening, but you're listening and then taking it and then making it as worse as you possibly can. And so it's like you're listening, but you're not really. Like you I'm not even saying like you're hearing what you want to hear, because to me, if you take something like that and you just misconstrue it to that point, then it's like that particular person was kind of insecure, and that probably had a lot to do with it. But I just got too annoyed and I got too aggravated, and like when I get really aggravated, I can be like really about things. So at that point, I knew that I just needed to step back and probably just stop talking to them. Just because it was just getting to the point where it was just too emotionally draining. And then the second relationship, he was more interested in doing the hoo-ha than I was. And I was like, that's not really what I'm looking for in a relationship. And he was like, oh, well, okay. He just seemed like very much like he didn't want to be in a relationship anymore. And so like I was hoping that he was gonna just like break it off. But he didn't, so I did. And then I was like, I'm kind of pissed that you're really only in it to get a lay. And then he was like, well, you should have told that was what you want at the beginning of the relationship. And like at that point, he didn't even want to like get married, which is something I do want to do eventually. And then I was like, if you come into a relationship and you don't want to get married, then you should say like, hey, I'm really like you. I really want to be involved in this relationship with you, but like I personally do not want to get married, and I just want to make sure how you feel about that. And then that's all you had to do. From that particular relationship, I learned that it's probably like I need to communicate what my goals in a relationship are, because not a lot of people have the same goals, and that's just something you want to be like on page one about. And I've had to keep like learning with, because it's still because he's part of a group that I'm in, and so he is very much a avoid confrontation type of person. And to him, the easiest way for him to do all of this was to like not talk to me, which is fine over the internet or over the phone. I don't care if you don't talk to me, or I don't really care if you don't like me, or if you think that I'm just this terrible person. I don't care. But if you come around me in person and then you just pretend like I do not exist, like I am invisible. And that is the type of thing where it is very annoying to me, because that falls under the being ignored category. And I told him that if he was going to act like that, I would just very much prefer it if he stayed away from me. And so far, he has been keeping his part of the stay away from me deal, which I appreciate very much, because that's just a type of like negativity that I really don't want to deal with. And I had just like finally gotten to a point where I didn't have like any negative things with people, then that happened. So I was just like, look, I don't want it. I'm not here for it. So just you do you way over there. I'm gonna do me over here. And so we've been good so far. I've been happy. I'm assuming that he's been happy. I don't know. I'm happy. And as selfish as this is about to sound, in that particular relationship, that's pretty much all I care about. Because like at this point, it's not even like we're friends anymore, because he doesn't talk to me. So his feelings are kind of, it's not really my concern anymore. But like I said, I'm not like saying like, oh, they were in the wrong. They were the problems of the relationship. If that's what it sounded like, that's not what I intended it. It's just like, there's reasons that I couldn't hang or deal with the relationship. Like those were my reasons. Like I don't think, because I'm pretty sure like I could have communicated like, hey, I don't want to do the pang before the rang. And I could have said that, and I didn't because I guess I had assumed that everyone. Well, no, I assumed because I knew him before that. We were actually pretty good friends before this happened. I guess I just assumed because of like the type of people that he were around, like his best friends were both married. I guess I just assumed that he would want to get married as well, and that was my fault for making that assumption. But in the other relationship, I definitely could have been more assertive with myself, which is also another thing I learned. I just needed to really be more assertive because he was just like so insecure and like so very drawn into himself that sometimes I really wouldn't want to say anything because I knew he would take it the wrong way. And it's like he would take things the wrong way when I did say them, so I was just like not wanting to talk about it. But I just need to be more assertive no matter like what the issue is, and if they take it that way, like if I notice that pattern again, then I'm probably just gonna break it off. Like at that point, like I've already dealt with this with one person, I really don't want to deal with this with another person. Those are all the things that I've had that's been going on in my life, and I talked nothing about the channel, which I guess we're already going this long. Hey, 30 minutes. Who cares? I'll get into it. So I got the Blue Yeti bag. I did mention that in my Hat in Time video, but I do know everybody might not watch the Hat in Time video, so I'll just say it here. I got the Blue Yeti video. I also bought this for the Blue Yeti, which is a shock mount. And I thought that this was gonna come, like I thought I was buying the stick that actually like you put on your desk and it brings the mic over and you like adjust it around everywhere. But no, I just bought the mount that it goes on. Then I was like, what the heck? And I looked it up, and then it was like, yeah, this is the mount. Like the very product description, like this is the mount. It goes on this. You put it here. It might not fit, so check it when you get it, which mine does fit, thank God, so I don't have to send it back. And they were like, okay, so when you check it and it fits, you put it on your boomstick. And I was like, that's what I thought I was buying. So I bought a boomstick. It's gonna get here Friday. So we won't get to test I already tested it to make sure it fit, which I guess is really the only thing you need to do. But we won't get to put it in action until that bad boy gets here, so it's just gonna be sitting over here on my stand of stuff that you can't see. But there's indeed a stand of stuff over yonder where I have the shock mount for one. I have my phone that I keep over here, so in case it vibrates, it doesn't vibrate on the microphone. I have a book that I keep over here, which I haven't really used lately. It's called The Last Girl on Earth. I used to read it when I was recording with my laptop, and it would take some time for the loading screens to get to where I needed to play the game, but this computer loads up stuff so quickly I don't really need to do that anymore, so I haven't really gotten much further in the book than what I did when I had my laptop, which has been some time, so I might just need to take the book in the house and actually give it a good read, because it's a good story. I am enjoying it. It's like a apocalypse type alien takeover romance, last humans. She's the last girl, and she falls in love with an alien, but I don't want to give away the story, but that's what that book is about, and that's everything that I had to talk about. So if you guys stuck with this very long vlog, I was only expecting this to be like 20 minutes or so 14 minutes over that. Hey, thank you guys for watching this. I'll do another vlog, but I have some stuff to talk about, but Mushi Gamer is signing out.